Okay, so for those of you who don't know, there's a show out there by the name of Yellowstone. It's basically Sons of Anarchy with cowboys. And recently, it's some people are saying it's last season, but I really don't see it being its last season. I feel as though this is the reshuffle season before they more or less figure out what they're going to be doing with the characters and who's going to be the main characters going forward. But 3 years ago, because I think it's been 2 years since the last season. 3 years ago, Kevin Costner just kind of fucked off. And it was strange when press sat down and when entertainment press sat down and they talked to the other cast members. They were like, we don't know what Kevin's gonna do. Kevin's not returning any of our calls. We've got no idea what Kevin's plans are. He's kind of holding up production. Then of course we had the situation with the Writers Guild strike, which delayed the creation of the script for the show by I think like 16 more months. And then when they finally were able to sit down and start working on the script again, they called up Kevin. And once again, Kevin's not answering his fucking phone. So going into the season, we already knew there was going to be some type of shift. Something was going to happen. This season was not going to include Kevin Costner's John Dutton. It was going to include the younger character playing John Dutton. So we knew he wasn't going to be here. We didn't know what type of direction they were going to take. But we finally got our fucking answer. The very first episode of the season reveals John Dutton's dead. He was killed by somebody off screen. Something happened to him. And the mystery of the final half of this season is figuring out what exactly it was that happened to him. Or should I say, who exactly the perpetrators were that put his death in motion. The internet lost their fucking mind. like, oh, how dare you do this to Kevin Costner? Oh, John Dutton deserved to go out in a blaze of glory. Oh, John Dutton deserved to die with his boots on. What did you want them to do? I wanted him back. You wanted him back. Kevin Costner didn't want to fucking come back. Like, he fucked off and went to go make another goddamn cowboy movie / show. Wasn't answering any fucking calls from any members of the cast or the production crew. And then he was consistently always giving vague responses when people were like, hey, so, when you come back for Yellowstone, buddy, when you come back for Yellowstone, you're going to be doing a new season of Yellowstone? Oh, well, it's within that of the creative process. But I feel as though, I had to step away and kind of start working on other things because I felt as though I was being locked into one thing. What the fuck are you talking about? Sir, you literally went off and made like 2 cowboy spinoffs that didn't do as good. They were well received, but they didn't do as good commercially as Yellowstone does, or have the name recognition of Yellowstone. Now, of course, there's some type of argument that the divorce from his wife, along with the fact that the script was taking too long, both of these things came together to just create the current situation that we find ourselves in now. But I find it super fucking weird that people aren't blaming the source of the problem. The source of the problem is Kevin Costner. He didn't want to come back. He didn't give a shit about the show. He moved on. Like, he washed his hands of it and everything and just kept it moving. Wouldn't give any response about whether or not he was coming back or committing to continuing the series. And then now that his character is dead, he's all like, oh, well, I haven't really watched the show, but we'll see whether or not that sticks. My man, it was a shotgun. They made sure to take out your fucking character in a way that emphasized the fact you don't have a fucking head and you're not coming back to the series in any way, shape, or form. This isn't like a House of Cards situation where Kevin Costner was out there diddling fucking young boys and then he had to step down and leave because he was also diddling members of the fucking crew. No, it wasn't that situation. It was a situation where you just became impatient, where once again, Kevin Costner got in the way of Kevin Costner, where Kevin Costner's like, I'm the biggest deal on this show, not realizing that he is one of the pieces that we enjoy watching on this show. I'll happily sit down and watch a fucking spinoff where it's just Casey, Beth, and fucking Rip fucking shit up on Yellowstone. For the most part, I would say 40% of my enjoyment of fucking Yellowstone is Colby and fucking Teeter's relationship. Like, what are we doing? If you want to be mad at somebody, be mad at Kevin Costner. He didn't give a shit enough about the show to come back to continue working on the show. He didn't give a shit enough about his fellow cast members to actually give them a solid fucking answer about whether or not he was coming back to continue the show. If you're going to be mad at the fact that the show had no choice but to kill his character because they needed to get the actors and everybody back in the fucking studio before, you know, a 3, 4, 5 year gap happened, and then he saunters back onto set once his money from other projects runs dry, blame fucking him. But walking around and blaming the show and then blaming specific other fucking actors and actresses on the show because Kevin Costner decided that he didn't want to pay his fucking wife alimony and that he didn't want to wait for the scripts to be fucking finished, so he just up and friggin' quit like it's not his goddamn fault is fucking weird and goofy. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Stop that shit.